everybody outside, come on in. We're ready to sing. Hymn number 301, Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky. Welcome everyone. I'm Reverend J. Wolin, the settled minister here at the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota. Can you hear me in the back? Okay. Especially want to welcome our visitors both on campus as well as over live stream. We invite our visitors to participate in any of our events. And we welcome you to find out more about Unitarian Universalism and this congregation. You can do that by registering for our newsletter, which you can find in the visitors section of our website. If you're in person here, you can sign up at the welcome desk right outside the front of the sanctuary. We invite you to join us today for our second Sunday potluck. Even if you've not brought anything there, please be our guest. There's always plenty of food, some healthy, some not so healthy. But we look forward during that time to getting to know each other. I also want to make a couple of thank yous. I want to thank Mary Ann Bowie, who helped plan and will participate in today's service. And I especially want to thank Maria Rabayo, Louise Mashinus, and the Immigration Coalition team. If any of you are here today, please stand up and accept a round of applause. Not only for the Food for Our Neighbors project, but they helped organize our trip to the Big Cypress Detention Center yesterday for a vigil and protest in support of our neighbors who are being held without due process. Also, one quick reminder, tomorrow night, today is Sunday, so tomorrow night, we are going to have, it's funny, I often think because we talk about things as a staff and as a board, that, well, everybody must know about it. So we realize that we want to make sure everybody's aware we are having conversations about potentially looking to hire a second minister because we are so busy. And so we are going to have, I put a newsletter article about it this week. You can read that. And as well, we are going to have a congregational conversation about that Monday night, just to inform people and what our vision is and so forth. So if you can attend, if you're interested, we will be there tomorrow night at 7. You'll get an email tonight with the Zoom link. And now, the last week and the last announcement before BidFest. Get ready, it's coming. We should call it Fun Fest, I think. Yes. Terri, take it away.
Good morning. And what is next Saturday? Yes. Okay, great. Bill straightened that out a few weeks ago, right? That's not Sunday. It's Saturday. So after the service today, you'll pick up your catalogs out on the table here in the courtyard, and you can also view it online starting at 11:30. Buy your tickets today or through the week on the website. Online sales of fixed price items start after the service today at bidfest.org. So if you want to go to the chaos party, or the piano salon, the Asian banquet, and many, many more of the fixed price places, get online and you can buy your ticket or pay your fee for that. With your help, this year's BidFest will be the best ever. We have the most items we've ever had. And when you see the catalog, you're going to be suitably impressed. Thank you for your participation and donations and your high bids. And our team, myself, Scott, Ava, Vicky, Cindy, Kieran, thank you so much for all your patience and donations and participation. Thank you.
While the choir is coming up, I just want to take this minute to invite you, if you can carry a tune or you like to sing, please know that we are a very open and welcoming choir. We have a good time. We sing a lot of fun, all kinds of music, all different things. And of course, we're heading into the Christmas season, so we've got some really fun and a little bit more challenging music, but we also have a lot of fun and light, easy stuff. So if you sing, please don't ever be shy. You are always welcome. We rehearse Wednesday nights. Just come on a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and we'd love to have you.
The differences are just illusion and vanity. Sunlight looks different on this wall than it does on that wall, and a whole lot different on this wall over here. But it is still sunlight. just as one person can be a father or a brother or an uncle, depending on who it is, whose uncle, brother, or father it is, what you are searching for has many names, and yet one existence: the Son, the man. Stop looking for one of the names. Move beyond attachment to names. Every war and conflict between human beings has happened because of some disagreement about the names. It is such unnecessary foolishness, because just beyond the arguing, where we are all one people, there is a long table of companionship, beautifully set, and just waiting for us to sit down together. As we are lighting the chalice, good, please join me now in affirming our value of interdependence, which is printed in your order of service and displayed on the screen behind me. We honor the independent web of all existence with reverence for the great web of life, and with humility we acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships.
Good morning, everyone. So today's story will have some audience participation at the end, so get ready. Today's story is We Are the Builders, written by Deepa Iyer and illustrated by Romina Galata. Welcome to our community day. Ready to find your role to play? My name is Ramla, and I'm your guide. Follow me and stay by my side. So many grown-ups and kids are here. Everyone wants to volunteer, right? Yeah. There's plenty to do in town. Help new friends, plant trees in the ground. The time is now. Let's all play a part. Listen and learn. What moves your heart? So we are the builders. We form and forge, construct and fix, improve homes with nails and bricks. See those old desks and tables and chairs? Good as new with some repairs. Let's hear it for the builders. Yes. We are the caregivers. We comfort, console, soothe, and cheer. Care kits for all, near and dear. Acts of service and words that mend. How can I help you, my new friend? Let's hear it for the caregivers. Yes. We are the frontline responders. We plan and protect, stay prepared. Storms are brewing, but don't be scared. Stock cans of soup, bags of fresh fruits, gather warm coats, gloves, and boots. Let's hear it for the frontline responders. Yes! We are the disruptors. We declare, demand, and demonstrate. Call for change. Don't hesitate. Raise our voices, banners, and beats. Meet and march out in the streets. Let's hear it for those disruptors. Yeah! We are the experimenters. We scan, invent, and improvise. Solve hard problems with fresh eyes. What if these used bottles and rags could become backpacks and bags? Let's hear it for those experimenters. Yes! We are the visionaries. We dream, imagine, and inspire a world where we can all admire fresh air, clean water, safe and free, bright futures. That's what we all see. Let's hear it for those visionaries. Yes! We are the weavers. We stitch, we braid, we intertwine. Common threads link hearts and minds. When people fight or disagree, find what connects you and me. Let's hear it for those weavers. Yes. We are the healers. We renew, restore, and relieve. Tend to those who cry and grieve. Sometimes when the world is too much, we nurture with a breath and touch. Let's hear it for those healers. Yes. We are the storytellers. We sing and dance and create art. We bring joy and love heart to heart. Vibrant murals preserve our past histories cherished at last. Let's hear it for the storytellers. Yes! Of the different roles to play, which one feels like you today? You could become a guide like me, show new folks who they can be. We mentor, we advise, we steer, we share wisdom, honest and clear. And now that it's clear what we can each do, we want to hear from all of you. What role would you choose? Who would you be? How would you change your community? So behind me now, this is the social change ecosystem map, and you may have seen it a couple of weeks ago. In the middle, in the yellow circle, we identify our core values and beliefs. And then we explore the 10 roles that we could play. And when we play our roles and build relationships with one another, we can change the world. For this has been the way that humankind has survived and grown over the millennia, together, each doing their part. So now it's your turn. You're going to raise your hand once I say a role that you would like to play, and it can be more than one. And I'm going to say them fast, so be on the ball. You ready? Where are my builders? Got a few. Okay. Caregivers. Visionaries. Healers. Disruptors. Oh, come on. I need more disruptors. Frontline responders. Weavers. Storytellers. The experimenters. And the guides. Great. Thank you all for participating, and I now invite any children and youth to join their teachers in their classrooms, and if you're new, just follow me. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. That was beautiful. So on this reading, I'm actually going to be playing Kurt Vonnegut. Not my forte, but true story, word of honor. Joseph Heller, an important and funny writer now dead, and I were at a party given by a billionaire on Shelter Island. I said, "Joe, how does it make you feel to know that our host only yesterday may have made more money than your novel, Catch-22, has earned in its entire history?" And Joe said, "I've got something he can never have." And I said, "What on earth could that be, Joe?" And Joe said, "The knowledge that I've got enough." As we go into a time of meditation, I invite you to contemplate what gets you to enough.
So October 18th was a busy day. We had the No Kings March, we had a booth at the Collard Green Festival, and it was Humanity Day with 6 hours of presentations, thankfully recorded so I could watch them later. And that was put on by the I Am Humanity organization, and its website states that it, and I quote, is a global movement that promotes the needs of humanity as a whole, including future generations, and our vision is humanity flourishing for millennia to come, end quote. In a time when we live in headlines that speak of climate breakdown and political polarization and economic inequality, creeping authoritarianism, and the erosion of truth itself, I think it's important to remind ourselves of a vision of a more positive future. The I Am Humanity movement teaches that we are one species, one interdependent family, one shared future. Now, I don't know if anybody has been watching the news about the 3-Eye Atlas. There are a lot of, this is actually a real picture of it. There are some pictures of it that like make it into like a spaceship, but As I dug deeper into NASA, at least what they're showing, this is what it looks like from the Hubble. I think this is from the Hubble telescope. But NASA says that, and I quote, "is the third known object from outside our solar system to be discovered passing through our celestial neighborhood." I love the way NASA says that, celestial neighborhood. Astronomers have categorized this object as interstellar because of the hyperbolic shape of its orbital path, end quote. So I had to look up hyperbolic shape, and it means that it is not bound by the gravitational forces of the sun. And this is the third actual interstellar object that we have seen in the last decade, which I think points to a very important axiom that for me is important to focus on, which is when you start looking for something, you are more likely to find it. Yeah, I think about when I played hide and seek with the kids. I would tell them, okay, go hide, and then I'd wait like 5 minutes, and when I actually looked for them, I could find them. So similarly, we as a country, well, you need peace and quiet sometimes as a parent. Except once I found him in the dryer. That was probably not good to leave him there, especially before I put the laundry in. Anyway, but we have installed improved instrumentation, and we have now more elaborate and precise sky surveys during the last decade. So I think this, along with the recent congregational hearings that they've had just, I think, a couple of weeks ago on UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomenon, what we used to call UFOs. I don't know why they needed to change the acronym, but it's led people to believe that these comets might be aliens. Now, there's no proof of that, but people speculate about all kinds of things. But whether or not the comets are aliens, what matters is that we are learning to look outward with new instruments and new vision, and perhaps by doing so, we will see ourselves differently in the process. I have to admit, this reminded me of the movie Star Trek First Contact. Now, Star Trek started as a television series in the 60s that has gone on with multiple iterations of shows. How many people know what Star Trek is? Pretty much everybody. Okay, good. So, according to Star Trek, the unity of our planet came after a great unrest, including the Third World War, which, not to worry you, but according to Star Trek, started in 2026. Remember, this is fictional universe, but the unity of our planet was instigated, and this is the thing that reminded me of it. The unity of our planet was, not that I have studied all the canon of Star Trek, but I have. And it's interesting, they have canon and non-canonical sources for Star Trek. I also find that interesting. The unity of our planet was instigated by the arrival of the alien race, the Vulcans. The external strife, and then that internal realization that we are not alone in the universe gave us a larger perspective that led to unification of the planet and eventually the formation of the Federation of Planets. Now, of course, what all these shows and movies posit is that when we come together for a larger purpose, it allows humanity to evolve. It envisions a time when material security is largely eliminated, and money is no longer a driving force for most citizens. Food, basic needs, housing, transportation are treated as public goods rather than commodities we need to buy. The lack of necessity to work for survival gives humans the freedom to choose their vocations out of passion or service or exploration. We are so used to hearing that and it is a theological thought, that without this drive for money, we would just sit around watching Netflix all day. I do that at night, like at 10 o'clock at night, but not, but I think most people need and want purposeful work to do. Star Trek's dream is not just science fiction. It is a moral vision, a foundation that gives us something to look at. It's inviting us to imagine what humanity could become if compassion, not competition, ruled the day and became our organizing principle. And although this vision of Star Trek is more modern vision of interdependence, this idea is ancient. Religions, mystics, poets, prophets have been saying this for millennia. In Buddhism, the Buddhists taught that all things exist in mutual dependence, that the flower blooms because of the rain, the soil, the sun, and the countless living beings that make its life possible. Nothing stands alone. All things co-arise. In the Hindu Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes the vision of unity within diversity, the awareness that the divine or Brahman pervades all beings. In the Hebrew Talmud, it states, whoever destroys a single life destroys an entire world, and whoever saves a single life saves an entire world. In the Christian scriptures, 1 Corinthians, the Apostle Paul uses the metaphor of the hand or of the body being just one part of the hand being, or different parts of the body, including the hand, being one part of your body. In chapter 26, chapter 12, verse 26, it states, if one member suffers, all suffer together with it. If one member is honored, all rejoice together with it. In Islam, the Prophet Muhammad taught, and I quote, the believers in their mutual kindness, compassion, and sympathy are just like one body. When one of the limbs suffers, the whole body responds with wakefulness and fever. And psychiatrist Carl Jung wrote, the collective conscious is common to all. It is the foundation of what the ancients called the sympathy of all things, the unity of the cosmos, and the interdependence of all living things. I did not know he was a Unitarian. He wasn't. He was very Christian, actually. And there are more similar sayings and writings from other religions and cultures. I point all these out to show that despite all of our supposed differences and different rituals and how it's lived out across millennia, we are all pointing to this same concept of interdependence. What you focus on, right? I talked about this then, the same thing. What you look for, you will find. If we look for interdependence, we will find it. Unitarian Universalism, of course, specifically names interdependence as one of our values. Our covenant, which we read earlier, starts with, we honor the interdependent web of existence, and ends with, we will work to repair harm and damaged relationships, end quote. That is I call that theology in motion. Not a belief in a distant God or even aliens to save us, but a faith in a living, sacred network of relationships. We humans have built a civilization based on separation. Separation from nature, from each other, and even from our inner lives. And we have been trained to believe that competition is inevitable from the time we're very young. That consumption equals happiness, and that our worth depends on our productivity. And I want to tell you, I am very productive. But the vision, we all get caught up in it. The vision of I Am Humanity calls us to a different story, one that celebrates our shared flourishing. It asks us to shift from me to we, from domination to connection, from conquest to cooperation, from separation to reciprocity, from extraction to regeneration. Flourishing is not only about personal happiness, but about moral imagination, the ability to see ourselves in others, to recognize our shared destiny. The philosopher Martha Nussbaum calls this the capacity for world citizenship. Our UU faith maybe calls it beloved community. To say I am humanity is not a slogan. It is a spiritual discipline. It is to look into the eyes of the stranger and see kinship. It is to recognize the immigrant and the citizen, the rock and the river, the teacher and the student, the adult and the child, the soldier and the protester for peace. All belong to this one story of humankind. And as we, as well, are part of the story, all of us creating this story, regenerating ourselves, writing a new, united story of existence. And so to help us to continue to regenerate ourselves week after week, writing a new united story of existence, we ask you to be as generous as possible as we now take our offering of regeneration. For those online or those on your cell phone, there's a link to donate in the description in the YouTube video or the QR code in your order of service. Let this sacred time begin.
don't know if any of you have ever heard of Nan Shepherd, but if you were in Scotland, you would see her every day because her picture is on the 5-pound note. And she was a writer in the last century, and in 2016, her picture was added to the 5-pound note. And this is from her book, Living Mountain. When you head outdoors, aim to connect with nature rather than to conquer nature. Often we aim to hit the summit or bag the mountains, to complete a route, or to beat the physical challenge of the hills or the weather. Instead, try changing your goal to connecting with and being part of nature, to journeying into the mountains rather than racing up, over, or through it. This gives more space to follow your curiosity rather than stick rigidly to a route. Often the mountain gives itself completely when I have no destination, when I reach nowhere in particular, and have gone out merely to be with the mountain as one visits a friend, with no intention but to be with him.
So this being Veterans Day, or Veterans Day week, I just want to acknowledge if there is anyone who's a veteran or have family members who are veterans, I ask you to rise and be acknowledged, please. And let us work towards a world where we will not need that. You know, when Marianne and I sat down to plan this service after some discussion, she asked me a very direct question. She said, what does humanity need in order to flourish? Just a simple off-the-cuff question. But you want to know, it's probably better that way, because I had time to think I could rationalize anything, honestly. Sometimes just using that immediate, intuitive sense helps us reach a deeper truth. So I responded, we need to ensure that everyone's basic needs are met. We need to create an environment where people can gather in community to experiment and discover their purpose. We need to draw upon the wisdom of generations that have come before us as guides for the future. I don't think I worded it quite that, nicely. I went back and rationalized and wrote it. But we need to use that wisdom to forge a new path forward. We need to cultivate caring. I think more than anything else, we need to cultivate caring in our society. And we need to recognize that it's not just about our fulfillment, but it is for the fulfillment of all beings and the earth itself. As Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said often in many of his speeches, I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. And this requires us to work for the greater good of all people. And perhaps most of all, I think we need to rediscover gratitude, a spiritual practice of enoughness, sort of like that Kurt Vonnegut story, enoughness that resists the myth of endless consumption. And I don't mean gratitude in a way that encourages people to accept inequality, because often that's how it's sometimes put. Like, just be happy with what you have, while somebody else is, riding around in whatever the most expensive car in the world is. But gratitude for the earth, gratitude for the basic gifts of life itself. Right? Our insatiable consumer culture has us overutilizing our resources. The greed of corporations poisons our waters and our air. And we have to restore balance between our needs and the earth's needs. We have to know what is enough. Enough is the most radical concept in the world, in our consumer culture. Like the story of Joseph Heller earlier, the question before us is, what is enough for a flourishing humanity? Enough in our hearts, enough in our relationships, enough in our work, enough in our economy, enough in our planetary home, enough in our faith. So enough in our hearts. Spirituality, enough means gratitude. I've told you before about my practice each morning. My planner asks me to name 3 things I am grateful for. And again, like I said before, what you focus on, you will find, right? So this shifts my attention from scarcity to sufficiency, right? Psychological research confirms this time and time again. Gratitude, savoring, acts of kindness measurably increase our well-being. And these are not luxuries. They are practices of the heart that make flourishing possible. Enough in our relationships. Socially, enough means belonging. right? Loneliness now is considered an epidemic, right? As deadly as smoking. I read one article that says deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Imagine if you were lonely and you smoked 15 cigarettes a day. We flourish when we are woven into relationships of care and trust. And here our congregation becomes a laboratory of flourishing. Every time we listen deeply, share a meal like we will today, a story, a song, we participate in healing. When we volunteer, offer a helping hand, mentor someone, advocate for justice, we expand our circle of enough. Enough in our work. Vocationally, enough means purpose. Where Harvard research, of course, Harvard University does research on job crafting, and it shows that people who shape their work to express their values experience higher satisfaction and meaning, right? So it's very funny. I think I've told this story before. I had a friend of mine when I was working ask, if money wasn't an issue, what would you do for a living? And it just came to me in that moment intuitively. I would be a minister, I said. And I have lived a life of meaning since then. Your work, whether it is for pay though, or even if it's just volunteering, I mean that is work, should be experienced as an offering to the common good. When we labor not only for profit but for service, we enact the covenant of interdependence. Enough in our economy. Economically, enough means fairness. No one can flourish when others are starving. The world produces enough food to feed every person, right? Yet millions go hungry. The problem is not scarcity, it is distribution and will. Economist Kate Raworth's Donut Economics book envisions an economy that meets human needs within the planet's ecological boundaries. In UU terms, it is a call for justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Can we give up something so that others will have a chance to thrive? Enough in our planetary home. Ecologically, enough means reciprocity. The earth gives freely sunlight, water, soil, air. We could not live without that the earth gives us freely, although soon people will want to be charging for clean water. Our task is not to conquer nature, but to nurture it for the benefit of all of humanity and all beings, including animals. Gardening, hiking, simply noticing a bird on your windowsill. Again, what we place our focus on can become acts of reverence. Now, I did focus on some alligators yesterday when we went to the detention center. I focused at them from a far distance. I just want to say that. You have to put everything in context. We do not need to climb the highest mountain to encounter the sacred. Right? The sacred is right in front of us every day if we just look with intention, even just outside our windows, the sunlight, all the greenery around us, right? It's a beauty. It's all around us all the time if we notice it. When we restore wetlands, plant trees, reduce waste, we participate in what theologian Thomas Berry calls the great work, the work of moving from exploitation to communion with nature. Enough in our faith, religiously, enough means covenant, our UU values. Love at the center, expressed by our values, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. These are not just abstract ideals. They are pathways of flourishing. And when we practice these values, we become living expressions of this concept that I am humanity. We model what a planetary faith can look like: diverse, yet unified; humble, yet hopeful; rooted in reason and open to wonder. All this may seem impossible at times, especially now. But I found comfort in the Planetary Citizen's Handbook. It gave me a hopeful vision, a metaphor, that we are living through a metamorphosis. The old world view of domination is dissolving, and a new world, and it's holding on as hard as it can before it dissolves. And a new worldview of interconnectedness is emerging. Like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, we are in that in-between, messy, vulnerable, transformative phase, if you've ever seen that. It's messy, where old structures collapse and the new ones have yet to form. This is our metaphoric moment. And like the butterfly, we cannot go back to being what we were as a species. Now, I know the word woke has been given a negative connotation lately, but I want to remind you the Buddha, upon reaching enlightenment, said, "I am awake." And it is time for us to awaken to a new dawn in the world. The Buddhist activist Joanna Macy calls this global awakening the Great Turning, a shift from an industrial growth society to a life-sustaining civilization. And it begins with a change in consciousness, from consumers to citizens of the earth, from spectators to participants in creation. We must see the world as it is and take part in moving it forward in its evolution. The I Am Humanity Declaration is one expression of this evolutionary turning. It is a call to step into planetary citizenship, to see ourselves as stewards of the next 500 years. To flourish is to care. To say I am humanity is to make a promise to protect, to nurture, and to celebrate this fragile, beautiful world that we share. So let us touch the earth and reach the sky. Let us sit at Rumi's long table of companionship, and let us know, in the words of Joe Heller, that we have enough. And let us live as though the flourishing of humanity depends on it, because in truth it does. Let us go boldly where no people have gone before. As Captain Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek Next Generation would say, make it so. Please rise in body and our spirit for our closing hymn, We Would Be One.
To that
In the words of Thomas Berry, we see quite clearly that what happens to the non-human happens to the human. What happens to the outer world happens to the inner world. If the outer world is diminished in its grandeur, then the emotional, imaginative, intellectual, and spiritual life of the human is diminished or extinguished. Without the soaring birds, the great forest, the sounds and colorations of the insects, the free-flowing streams, the flowering fields, the sight of the clouds by day and the stars by night, we become impoverished in all that makes us human. Please join me in extinguishing our chalice, but not the hope that lives within all of us.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Go forth, enjoy, eat, and care for each other and all. Thank you.